Hey, everyone! Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a lovely day or evening. Today's story features some good karma. Opie found out his wife cheated on him with her affair partner, then divorced him and gave up custody of her kids, all for the sake of being with the affair partner. Now she's begging for mercy after her affair partner kicked her out and she's homeless. In today's second story, Opie heard his fiancée say on the phone that her ex was the best lover she's ever had in her life. Now, let's get into today's stories to find out what happened. My wife and I met back in college. We dated for 5 years before getting married. Our marriage has been good with little ups and downs. We have 2 girls, ages 13 and the 15th of January last year. I noticed my wife spending more time on her phone than usual. She basically did what every typical cheater does: lied, blame shifted and gaslighted me when I tried to express my concerns. I know I was not perfect and I did some things that I regret very much, but she treated me like a piece of shit all this time during her affair. I tried to improve all the aspects of our relationship that she felt were not good. When Discovery Day came, at the beginning of June, she confessed to having an emotional affair and sleeping with him twice. Then she blamed me for her affair. She said that she wanted to reconcile and we tried reconciliation, but she was just not into it. She still contacted him and they were still talking when I told her how uncomfortable it made me. She said they were just friends and kept deleting texts, even when I told her not to. When I threatened divorce, she would cry, apologize and beg me not to. When I tried to bring up the affair, she would get mad. And somehow I was the one who ended up apologizing. Then after 2 or 3 months, she started disappearing again, saying that she was visiting family because they needed her. At the time, I knew she was going to see the affair partner. And when I brought it up, she was very convincing. One weekend she disappeared and didn't pick up my calls or answer my texts. And when she came back, she told me that her cousin had gotten sick and they had to rush her to the hospital and forgot her phone at her sister's place. And all this time, I was trying to make it work for us. She saw all the efforts I made, but just didn't care. Then by mid-December, she told me that she was moving out, that she had been unhappy in our relationship. And that while she still cared for me, she was in love with her affair partner. She said that she had finally found her soulmate. I remember crying for hours trying to beg her. But her mind was made up. We had to tell the kids. She said that I could have the kids for the weekdays and she could come to visit them on weekends. Since her affair partner's apartment was small, she filed for divorce a week after. This was the worst moment of my life. I grieved for weeks. I tried to talk to her to see if there was any chance. But all she said was that she was sorry for everything she had put me through. But her mind was made up. No one other than us knew both. She and my parents knew that we were only separated but never knew the reason. By the end of January, when her mom called me and insisted I tell the truth, I invited her over together with her dad. I told them everything and literally, I broke into tears and cried on my mother-in-law's shoulder. They comforted me and apologized for their daughter's behavior. I later told my parents and then a few close friends. Soon enough, everyone knew about us and I started receiving comforting messages from others talking ill of my ex. Soon afterward, my wife called me crying, saying that I turned everyone against her and that she hated me. She said that people were threatening her and her affair partner and that her dad hated her. They had a close relationship and that her sisters didn't want to speak to her and no one would speak with her without insulting her. That was mid-April. By the beginning of June, her relationship with her affair partner had fizzled out due to stress. I remember she came to see the kids and told me that her affair partner kicked her out because she couldn't handle the stress of their relationship. She was living in a hotel room. She didn't look good at all. Like someone who was. She asked if she could move back in and I said, no. She said that she understood but asked to spend more time with the kids. She said that she wanted to make up for the lost time with the kids and wanted to come in the afternoon and cook for them and spend time with them. I agreed. By this time, She would come to cook my favorite meal, clean the house and write small notes saying I love you together with flowers. When I came back home from work, she would always try to spend some more time with me. I have to admit I did enjoy spending time with her. Then she started talking about how much she missed me and asked if a divorce was what I really wanted. I always avoided these conversations. Last week, she told me that she had been going to individual counseling and was wondering whether we should try marriage counseling. She has started dressing the way I like and wearing makeup. She has tried to initiate sex, but I've turned her down. She has more goods and countless times she has brought up marriage counseling over the weekend. She cried, begging me not to go through with the divorce, saying she had already put up with a lot, and that all she wanted was to get me and her family back. She said she would do whatever I wanted. I know it's like the roles are reversed all this time. I have been numb. Although a part of me feels happy now that she has gotten a taste of her own medicine. I still love her. But I don't really know if I should give our relationship another chance. She's back because you're her only hope right now. How much disrespect is too much? She had an ongoing affair, immediately moved in with him only after the relationship failed. Did she realize she had no one else? Mind you, she has openly told you the relationship ended with the affair partner due to stress, not due to her realizing she made a monumental mistake. Have some respect for yourself and just say no, you deserve better. You can be good co-parents and not be together. But if you get back together, you'll always be looking over your shoulder because, you know, she can't be trusted. There's just no way that leads to a healthy relationship. You know, what would have happened if her mother hadn't contacted you to tell her the truth? Your so-called wife would have gone through with the divorce, and in a couple of weeks, she would have introduced her affair partner to her family as if she met him after the divorce, making her image look innocent. Remember, from last January up to mid-December, you tried to make it work. Even after you found out about the affair, you tried to improve yourself for her, but she was still in contact with him. You told her it made you feel uncomfortable, and her reply was, "We are just friends," and deleting text messages. The ultimate disrespect. That was the point where you should have known she wasn't letting him go. Then she disappears on you saying she's visiting her family or that her cousin is in the hospital, and she left her phone at her sister's knowing she was with her affair partner. All that time, December came and she told you she's found her soulmate with her affair partner and is moving in with him. She filed for divorce a week later. Once she told the truth to her family, your family and some close friends, she calls you crying saying everybody hates her, which she deserves all of it, and threatens her and her affair partner. That was this past April. In June, her soulmate, the affair partner, was done with her and kicked her out because she was more trouble than she was worth. Please wake up. Now, let's get into today's second story. It was quite by accident that I heard this. We had a group of our friends over, and as the night went on, we all kind of busted out into little groups. Some of us were in one room playing Texas Hold'em, and a couple of others were watching a Lord of the Rings marathon. I thought she was watching the movies, but she and one of her close friends were actually sitting in the kitchen, drinking coffee and talking. Our group had run out of soda. So I got up to go to the kitchen to get drinks and a couple of snacks. As I was rounding the corner, I heard my fiancée talking, and before I completely came into the room, I heard her clearly say, "Jason is great, but he will never be the lover that Bill was." She then followed it up with, "It's not really fair to Jason though. Bill was just really gifted down there." At first, I thought about just walking back into the card game and pretending like we didn't have any extra soda or food. But I decided to kind of make a noise and go in her friend outside of me rounding the corner, and I could see her make a face at my fiancé, letting her know I was there. Of course, she had no idea. I had heard her, and she just stopped talking to her and asked me how I was doing. And if I was having fun, I was tempted to say something like, "I'm having as much fun as someone who is not gifted down there can." But I didn't. I just said yes and proceeded to get my stuff and go back and finish the night. I just acted like nothing was wrong the rest of the night and went to bed, Needless to say, it messed me up. I mean, it messed me up badly. I've never been jealous or what you would call insecure about myself until that moment. I couldn't sleep that night. And I went through a myriad of emotions while laying there. At first I was angry, then I was humiliated, then I was depressed. Then I was angry again. Look, I realize that the male ego seems stupid to women and even to guys who are totally self-assured. I would have agreed with most of this prior to that night. But once it has been damaged, it's a bitch. I tried to hide any form of emotion about it so that I would never let her know I knew. But as the days went on, I just kept getting worse. And worse, I was avoiding her at all costs. And while she was suspicious, she didn't really say anything, that is, until she attempted to be intimate with me a few days later, and I flat out rejected her. It wasn't a conscious decision on my part. By the way, I had made the decision on my own to just try and get over it and move on. But in that moment, instead of being sexually aroused, I felt deeply inadequate and ashamed. Nothing was happening. No matter how much either of us tried. She asked me what was wrong. And I just told her I must have been stressed from work, but she would not believe that or let it go, so much to my humiliation. There, I lay naked in bed, unable to get an erection. I came clean and told her what I heard. Well, that did not go over well, at all. At first she tried to tell me I did not hear her correctly, but I just repeated to her verbatim what she had told her friend. Well, once she denied it, she then tried to apologize, and to her credit, she tried to listen to my feelings on the matter, which once again, I am sure was more of a big turn-off for her because I was a wreck emotionally. She tried to tell me how much of a better person I was and how I satisfied her, and she wanted nobody else. But all I could hear was the Charlie Brown teacher noise. It's been almost a month and I have zero desire to be with her sexually. None. She is now getting frustrated about this as well. But no matter what I have tried, I just cannot get past this. It's not like she said, we were both good lovers or anything like that. She clearly said he was far superior. And my guess is that being gifted down there means he was significantly larger than me as well. Well, I know I can do all kinds of things with my hands, tongue and whatever else. But no matter what I do, I can't grow in size. Obviously, she refuses to talk about that with me, saying that anything she could say would only make things worse, because even if she said something positive about me, I wouldn't believe her. She's most likely right. Some backstory here. He dumped her. It was not a mutual breakup. He flat out dumped her and broke her heart. I know this because early on in our relationship she told me this. She said she wasn't ready to be serious about anybody because her previous ex left her and emotionally broke her. So this is not a case of me even being able to say, well, she's with me because she wants to be. If he hadn't her, she would never have left him. Now, I have no idea if after all of these years, she would leave me for him if he came back. But I don't think she would. I just don't know what to do here. I can feel myself checking out of the relationship. I know this is petty as crap. But hearing the person you love tell someone else they preferred having sex with someone else was just devastating to me. Her telling me all of my other good qualities has only made it worse because she is saying things that I think appeal to her and maybe other women. But being told I am a good provider and will make a great husband makes me feel like crap. Like what would happen if I lost my good-paying job, or better yet, what if I were to get injured and couldn't make anything more than state assistance? Would she be there to support and help me? Basically what I feel like right now is a really good friend who is just allowed to have sex with her. I know in my head that this is not correct, but in my heart, that is what I feel. I'm sorry for the length here, and I don't even know what I'm asking here. I am totally lost. And if this continues, I just think I'm going to break off our engagement update. It all came to a head last night. She just came out and asked me if I did not love her anymore, and all that I could tell her was that a very large part of me still did. But that what she said had really made it so that another part of me just didn't anymore. This started a larger conversation that I won't bore you with. But ultimately, it came down to me saying that if I had heard that he was just better at something or more tentative something or was able to do something that I couldn't, I would have felt like I could have worked on it. I would have listened to anything she wanted to work on, any technique or anything else that she would have shared with me. But to know that I was never going to measure up simply because of a physical issue was not something I thought I could get over any time soon, if I ever could, for that matter. I was even honest and said that if it was just a one-night stay she had or some random guy who was that huge, I might have been able to get past that. But knowing that it was a guy who she was still madly in love with when I met her. And only after time did she start to come around? Then it was just more than I could handle. She kept trying to tell me how much better I was at everything else and that I should not throw away a lifetime over one aspect. I told her that one aspect, sadly, was just too high for me, that not all things are equal. And that honestly it was a mental failing on my part. But whether it was genetics or a learned trait or whatever, that yes, I needed to be my spouse's best, and she had already made it clear that I could never be. I tried my best to be gentle. I tried to take all the blame by stating that I knew that my attitude was probably not healthy, but it was who I am now. For the final update, it is over. I went to counseling with her on 3 different occasions, and honestly, I tried to have an open mind about it. But at the end of the day, the obstacle was just too much to overcome. I even gave her an opportunity to walk back on her statement or amend it or do whatever she wanted to do with it. But instead she doubled down in a way. I think by that time, she very frustrated as well. Neither of us is really happy about this. It has been an absolute nightmare for me trying to avoid telling people and family why we are no longer together. Of course, I tried the old, "it's none of your business" to some of them, but that failed spectacularly. And since I refused to tell, they decided she cheated on me and started spreading that around. I've had to do a lot of damage over that. I've decided to continue with therapy on a personal level because honestly, this entire thing has really messed with my head and I have no self-esteem left at all. I've only seen her once since we separated, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. She is now justifiably so in the angry stage. She is furious with me and has called me everything that you can imagine, and then even made up some words. Her being mad at you should really set your mind at ease. That breaking up is the right thing for you to do. She's not the person you want to be with long term. And though it sucks, now, the only anger she should be feeling is towards herself and for her actions. Now she will have to live with the consequences of her actions for the rest of her life. It would suck worse to have heard this a couple of years down the road after the wedding, when it then became a legal matter. On top of everything else, you absolutely dodged a bullet, my friend. I wish you the best of luck going forward. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's stories. If there's a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate